How's it going, everybody? For today's video, I thought I would do something a little different here and kind of go over something that's been weighing on my mind, and that's your career field, or just whatever. And for me, one of the things is so currently I'm in the medical field, and if you're familiar, there's not just one path that you can go down, whether it's advancing towards becoming a doctor, or even the place that you're at. What I'm going to discuss is more it's more lateral than forward movement. Just some of the jobs that I've had in the past, and why I think one of the biggest things in this current generation, one of the things I've experienced, and just something that I think is very prevalent, is that if you don't like your job, quit it. That's really been one of my mottos, and I've gotten to the point where I'm at now where like I said, I enjoy the medical field, but I've worked at a hospital, I've worked at it was a rehab clinic, but it was more like a home health, or not home health, it was more like a nursing home. I'll get into those. And now I'm at a walk-in. And realistically, it's the same job, but between those three different locations, it is such a huge difference that I thought I'd kind of share some of my thoughts about it. One of the things that's important for me to feel to discuss is a lot of people don't sit back and think that they have options. And like I said, even in just my situation in the medical field, there is so many jobs at even a basic level. So I'm currently a CNA licensed, but I haven't done anything with it in a while. I'm currently a medical assistant, but between the two of them, the same qualifications, and the jobs are very entry level, but it is just such a huge difference that I was always taught, and that's why I went down that route. You start at the hospital, you work your way all the way up to a doctor. At the same hospital, you get your promotions and everything, and that's where you'll see, a lot of things that'll help, advance your career, advance your understanding in medicine. And I understand that approach to it, but at the same time, that's what I was originally taught to do. And like I said, with lateral movement to a walk-in, I found where I prefer to be, where I'm happier being. So like I said, the message of this video is, I get everyone's situation's different. I'm not saying go out tomorrow and quit your job because you don't like it. Obviously, there's money and everything involved and whatnot, but I feel like it's just important for you to be happy, as much as you can. And like I said, I enjoy the medical field, but it took a while to find out sort of where I belong and where I'm happy at, and where my mental health wasn't just being totally drained. And for reference, I'm currently working 12-hour shifts, and I enjoy that way more than I do a soul-draining 8-hour shift elsewhere. So besides the point, I'm going to start off. Many moons ago, it's been, oh my gosh, 2017? No, 2018 now. I actually started that summer as a food service worker at my local hospital, just to sort of go through the interview process, just get in with them, and then that way when my original plan was to, start there, get my CNA, my RN, become like a nurse practitioner or something, and just kind of move up through that hospital. That's what I always originally wanted to do. So I started off with food service, like I said, just to sort of get in the door, get familiar with things. And to be honest, it wasn't actually that bad of a job. Basically what I did was, obviously you started off like cleaning dishes and stuff. But what I liked is it was a pretty decent sized hospital. And what we used to do was you'd go around, you had to go to every single floor, every single wing, and you just got like they brought up the food in little food carts, so you'd go up there and you'd bring them down. And it was always a lot of fun, actually. Fun's a weird word to put it, but you'd have like, I'm gonna throw a random number out because I don't remember. I know there were 6 floors to the hospital, and then each floor had like a random number of wings. Like obviously, like the 3rd floor was cardiology, and there's just a bunch of different wings to it. So, and then some of those wings had like 2, 3 carts. Some wings only had 1, some had 2. So it was kind of fun. Like I had a process of like starting off on one side of the hospital at the 1st floor, going up, going over to the other side of the hospital, and then going down. Bring all the food trays back to the kitchen, and then once you finally, it took probably like an hour to do this, and you did this for both breakfast and lunch. And then if you wanted to pick up it was like 4 hours if you wanted to pick up dinner, but it was always there. That's pretty much what I did. I actually had a pretty good time doing that. Like I said, it was just very simple. And they kind of let you, like obviously you had to, report back. You couldn't just disappear, but they kind of let you have free reign. They trusted you, so they kind of let you have free reign to, go get all the carts and bring them back down. There was no real there was a time limit on it, but at the same time there wasn't. Like you could just kind of go and obviously if it took you 3 hours to do a 1-hour job, they would get mad at you. But at the same time, if one day it took you an hour and the next day it took you an hour 15, it didn't really matter. And then you take this, once you were done with all that, you take this massive, absolutely gigantic trash cart. You'd walk it down this really long hallway, and then you would, throw it in the trash compactor. It was actually just, like I said, for a starting job, it was actually really, really simple, and I enjoy simple. So I would do that in the morning, and then at the evenings I went to school and got my CNA, and I got hired back at the hospital that I worked at. I just basically moved up. I left the food service for a little bit just so I could finish out my CNA, but the same hospital just hired me back. It was technically moving up, but technically wasn't, if you want to get technical with it. But like I said, so I moved up to be a CNA. I was on a med-surg unit, and it really very quick. I was there for a month, and it really took sort of like the fun of medicine and like why I joined it. It like completely took that away from me. Basically, the interview process went great. Everyone seemed cool. Everything seemed, grand. And then I think with the hospital, the big saying is, there's a saying out there that says, you don't know what you don't know. And that really, really applied at the hospital. because they kind of, when they did the orientation, it was very basic. They kind of just said, hey, um, here's what you do. You go into the patient's rooms in the morning. You either did 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. 12-hour shifts. You woke them up. You did their vital signs. If you gave them their breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you kind of bathed them and stuff throughout the day. Just looked after them, really. Nothing major. Give them lunch, clean up lunch, take care of them, give them dinner, clean up dinner, take care of them, and then you'd go home. That's what was taught to me in orientation. And then, because it's a hospital and because people are in for so many different things, they didn't really teach me like anything outside of like the basic. So like the first time I got a lab, hey, that you need to send off this urine down to a lab, that was never taught to me. I did, so I had to ask somebody, but like, again, they want to help you, but at the same time, everyone's busy doing their own stuff, so they kind of just said, oh, here's what you do, and they never really showed me, so of course I messed things up. Patients come in with tubes in them, never exactly taught how to take care of them that way. There was a lot of little things that just really added up. The biggest one for me was, again, it's a 12-hour shift. We were on the first floor of the hospital, and it is very frequently visited by like the CEO of the hospital. And our manager thought that it would be a good idea to buy, she bought these standing computers, and you were actually written up if you were ever caught sitting. As crazy as that sounds. You could not sit for the entire 12-hour shift. And I work a 12-hour now. Sitting makes so much of a difference that I can't begin to explain it to you. Like how long, how your feet are tired at the end of a 12-hour shift. Because again, you're running all around the place. And just being able to sit, like at the walk-in that I'm at now, it really, like, it just changes everything. So essentially the same things happen. You walk into a patient's room, you take their vital signs, you come out, and you have to plug them in a computer. At the hospital, you were required to walk to your standing computer, type it in, and then go to the next room. At my walk-in, you can sit down, type everything in, and then stand up and go to the next patient room. And again, makes such a difference. I can't describe it to you. So really, the only time you could sit was during your lunch break. So I mean, again, it was cool in the sense that you got to see a lot and like do a lot of stuff. That's the only time in my life that I've ever done a post-mortem care on somebody. We had a gentleman passed away, which, again, we're a hospital. That does happen. So as a CNA's job, it's your job to, take care of the body, clean it up, and get it presentable for the family to come in and say their goodbyes. So just a lot of unique situations that you wouldn't normally get anywhere else. But again, you couldn't sit, like you don't know what you don't know, which came up a lot. And then after about a month or so, I think I was there for like a month and a half, to be honest, but they expected you after orientation to just know everything. And it just, like I said, it really took sort of the fun out of medicine for me. So I left. It was just, you're already like doing work, and then to sit there and just be absolutely like physically exhausted. You're mentally exhausted after a 12-hour shift of taking care of people, and then to be physically exhausted on top of that, it just wasn't a good time. Um, I'm just not a fan of. And again, like you'd be typing something in the computer, you'd look over, and then, the manager would be just death staring you from like behind your back, like watching your every move for 12 hours. It was just so exhausting. So I left there. And again, sticking around the CNA level, I decided to go become a medical assistant. You do the same stuff, vital signs and everything. It's just, or actually, I take that back. I'm getting ahead of myself here. From the hospital, I went to a rehab clinic. Their purpose was you just had a knee replacement, so obviously you're going to need some rehabilitation. So the purpose of it was you would stay there for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, do your rehab. You'd be there just in case there was any, you'd actually spend the night there and stuff, just in case of any complications or whatever. And then you would, once you're fully rehabbed, you'd go home. You'd spend the day walking around. Like I said, you'd go downstairs to the rehab center, and you had your own room and everything. That was the point of it. I don't know how other places are, but we're now into 2019, early 2019 here. This is not pandemic, like at the end of the year. So I was there for about 3 months. Again, it was a lot better. It was 8-hour shifts. I did 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., which was nice. I enjoy sleeping in. That's really the only thing I don't like about my current job is it's 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. So I don't like waking up that early. But it's a small price to pay. So at the time I was doing 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Like I said, you just kind of take care of patients, nothing big. And it originally started off really good. I enjoyed it. And that's why I kind of went for like 3 months, maybe even 4 months. And then I don't know what changed, but they just started taking people, and I know what changed. It's all about money. It really is. But basically what ended up happening was they just started, you would have an 80-year-old dementia-ridden patient that's like seriously doesn't have much time left, like end-stage dementia, and they'd give them a knee replacement or a hip replacement or back surgery. And I'm not going into like the ethics of it here, of if that's right or wrong to do, but what I am saying is technically on paper you just gave an 80-year-old double knee replacement, so yes, they need rehab. At the same time, there's one gentleman I remember, he had his lower back surgery, and he was great. He was like 50, I want to say late 50s, early 60s. He really just needed help, like, transferring from a chair to a bed because, again, just had back surgery. And then he could walk the hallways. He just kind of needed someone to just be there with him in case he needed to sit down or something. Again, he really didn't need much help. But he did need help. That's why he was there. That's the type of patient I'm expecting for a rehab clinic. The types of patients they took in were people that they should have belonged in like a hospice, but they'd be giving them knee replacements. And because of that, they would not know where they're at. You would try to get them out of bed to go down to the rehab. They wouldn't know who they are, what they are. They wouldn't know anything, so they'd be very combative, resistant. They needed like total help and total care, and that's not. I would have gone to a I would have gone to hospice if that's what I was after. I went to rehab because I wanted to help people, but I didn't want to do like all of that. Uh, and then finally, after a while, when I started there, there's 2 stories to the building, and each story holds about, I want to say about 40, 50 people. When I started, it was 1 floor. It was pretty much maxed out at 40 or so people. By the time I left, both floors were filled to the brim with people, so you had a lot more patients to take care of, and they just started taking in like everybody. I mean, it was bad. They took in, I get, do you need to give a hip replacement to an 80-year-old dementia patient? I don't know. We had one gentleman who, he was again, like late stage dementia. We had so much dementia. I don't know why they're giving all these people surgeries, but again, we're not getting into that aspect. He would actively masturbate. Like, we had to, he was a fall risk, so we had to have him, in like there was like a nurse's station in the middle, and then the rooms and some hallways were around it. And he would be right there in the middle of the nurse's station, just masturbating, because he didn't know what was going on. Like, we were supposed to be a rehab center. So that fell apart. So I left there, and again, I enjoy medicine and I like being in it, but it's just, like, I picked rehab because I want to help people that can be helped, sort of thing. It's very rewarding to take care of someone for a week, they get better, and then they hug you on their way out, kind of thing. They shake your hand, hug you, they're very happy that you helped them, and then they go home and, they got better. That's what I joined rehab for, and that's what I enjoyed. So I left that, and then I ended up at a walk-in center, which is where I'm currently at, and it's, I think, the best of sort of all possible worlds when it comes to medicine. In the very basics of it, you go into a room, you figure out, again, it's just walk in. You can walk in for any reason. You stubbed your toe, you just figured out you're diabetic, you broke your arm, you got a cut on your head, you got allergies, like seasonal allergies, you got stung by a bee. I mean, we take care of everything. And so basically, they come in, you put them in a room, you walk in there, you take all their vital signs, you figure out why they're there, you get their like medical history and everything, and then you leave the room. The doctor may call you back in there to say, hey, can you swab them for COVID or swab them for strep? Can you give them a shot? They might call you back into the room. Can you give them a breathing treatment? But for the most part, once you do the vital signs and everything, you leave. If they are a really great patient, there's nothing stopping you from staying in the room, talking to them, like having a good time. If they're a really nasty, mean patient, you just take the vitals and you walk out of the room, and you never see them again. We're not a primary care, so we don't see you again, we don't follow up or anything. So I think it's just a really great job. Like I said, you're there at 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., but with people just constantly walking in, it doesn't feel like 12 hours. And ultimately, there's no real time. I mean, there's no like time constraints on you. So if it takes you 5 minutes to, take back a patient, talk to them and everything, or if it takes you 1 minute, there's no problem either way you do things. Ultimately, again, one day 50 people could walk in 12 hours, and another day, the most I've personally seen is 116 in a single day, which that's a lot of patients, but ultimately, as long as you just see all the patients before 7:30, there's no time constraints or anything. So it's very laid back. You do still see some cool stuff, but you also just see some average stuff. You have some really good patients, you have some bad ones, but at the end of the day, like, at a hospital, if it's a bad patient, you see them every single day for 12 hours a day, and it'll take them a month or 2 months or 3 months before they leave. Here, if it's a nasty bad patient or whatever, if they're really bad, you can actually just refuse them service if they're truly that bad. But if they're just kind of mean or whatever, or, again, you see them for 5 minutes, doctor sees them real quick, and they leave. You don't see them again. So, I guess sort of the point of this, the point of this video is just kind of telling you a little bit about my background, and just kind of going over, I mean, again, it's the same thing. I've kind of stayed in the same level of job, like a very entry-level medical job, but just the different types of facilities, wildly different. So for your situation, you might be similar. I obviously can't say for everybody, but maybe you're perfect where you're at. Maybe just moving to a different part of the same job is what you need, or maybe you just quit your job. I can tell you right now, if I stayed at either the rehab center or the hospital, I would have never discovered the walk-in, and I'd be absolutely miserable. I really would. I mean, I probably would have quit either one, to be honest. There's no way I would have lasted this long. But had I had stayed, like, I probably would just be done with medicine in general. It just would not be my cup of tea. So like I said, just trying different jobs out has led me to a point where I'm very happy. You get a great amount of working 12-hour shifts. You get a great amount of days off, like today, where I'm filming these videos, and it's very enjoyable. Like I said, I really enjoy it. So that's sort of the point of this video. Is yeah, I mean, I guess that's really the point. Just find what makes you happy in life and kind of go with that. So I guess I'll leave the video there. If you have any other video ideas, let me know. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.